There were some Aaron Rodgers developments last week while we were off. We covered them all extensively at ProFootballTalk.com. PFT never takes a break. Hashtag no days off, but we did. Never say never. No days off except when we take days off.
No days off except when we go to the birthplace of Jim Brown's.
Listen. I will always work on the website every day of my life, no matter what's going on. It's part of my routine. It's like drinking coffee and going to the bathroom with or without poison ivy on my hands. But it is a different existence when you don't have to be on for 2 hours in the morning and then on for 1 hour in the afternoon, and you can kind of do your thing. It's a much easier and relaxed life.
Definitely,
and I appreciated it very much. So so anyway, but now that we're back, let's get to it, and let's start with, because I want to hold the big thing that Gutekunst said for a few minutes.
Yeah,
there was. Right after the Packers season ended, I said, if the Packers want to end this drama immediately, just go to Aaron Rodgers and offer him 2 years, $100 million fully guaranteed.
Yeah.
Show him financially that you appreciate him, you want him, and you render the final 2 years of Jordan Love's rookie contract moot because you're committing to Rodgers for 2 more years, fully guaranteed $100 million. And someone with knowledge of the dynamics, and I know Rodgers has this hubris that none of his people talk to anyone. Bullcrap, Aaron. Of course, everybody talks. Don't think that the people who are, even if they're telling you, no, we don't talk to anybody, they talk, Aaron. They have relationships beyond their relationship to you. They talk. And it's in your benefit sometimes that they talk.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Somebody connected to it reached out to me and said, You're barking up the wrong tree. It's not about the money. They've tried to pay him. He doesn't care about that at this point. And I say all that because last week there was a report that Rodgers wants $50 million a year. And I really don't think he wants anything other than to either stay or go, depending upon what he chooses to do. The money's going to be there either way. This isn't a money grab for him. This is do I want to stay with the Packers or do I want to go somewhere else?
Right. I agreed. I mean, I don't think this is about money at all. I believe Rodgers' his word with that. I was one at one time thought, oh, man, if they just give him – it wasn't about the money. If they just give him some years on the contract that guarantee he's the guy, that they can't get rid of him, all should be good. But – between what you said at the time and, again, ever since that, just the things I hear, it sounds like it's up in the air. It's definitely not about the money. It's about Rodgers and him feeling like, is Green Bay the right place for him? Are they going to be able to keep the team together? And if they are going to keep together, are they going to be able to improve it at all? Or is it going to stay the same? To me, that seems to be what everything's going on there. Rodgers, like you said, the money's there. If Rodgers stays there and raises his hand and says, I want $45 million a year, they're going to do it. They're going to give it to him. That's not a question. So, for people to paint him in the selfish corner there, to me, it just seems like somebody who's being selfish and trying to gain headlines by putting stuff out there because they're not informed the correct way.
Former teammate Greg Jennings is the one who was leading the charge by calling Aaron Rodgers selfish. Now, Jennings has been a longtime agitator of Rodgers, so it's not a surprise coming from a longtime agitator of Rodgers. But on this point, I got Rodgers back. Look, it's not selfish to want what you deserve. That's not selfish at all. The money is there. The salary cap is going to keep going up and up and up and up. If you are a player and you are hearing that Pat McAfee's getting $30 million a year from FanDuel, and Troy Aikman may be getting $20 million a year from ESPN, and Tony Romo's getting $18 million, and Joe Buck may get a huge raise to go to ESPN, and all this money is being thrown at people who don't even play, and you're the best player. Why wouldn't you want $50 million a year? You deserve it. And look, again, the cap keeps going up, and the salary cap side of it is just an excuse to not pay the guy what he wants. I've had people say, oh, that is selfish to want 25% of the cap. If he gets $50 million a year over the next 2 years, it's not going to be 25% of the cap. They're going to work the deal, as we've seen time and again, to manage the cap and push dollars into future years when the cap's even higher. The cap is going to keep spiking. Now that the pandemic is over, now that the gambling money is mushrooming, now that the TV deals are in place, the cap is going to rocket toward $300 million per team per year. And I'm not saying it's going to happen in 2 years, but we're going to see bigger chunks than we've seen in recent years. 20 million, 25 million. It won't surprise me at all if it goes up that much from 2022 to 2023. So don't, when you spew as a fan or as a member of the media the salary cap defense, you are playing right into the hands of the oligarchs who want to pay guys less money. Period.
I know. What's crazy is fans seem fine with that. I don't know why, but they seem okay with that. I don't get that. I don't. I certainly don't. Rodgers, I mean, again, the price tag of what he's being paid, he's being the least unselfish quarterback in football, Greg Jennings or anybody else out there. I mean, he's come on. It's 33.5. Jared Goff is making the same amount of money as him. Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, none of them play at the level Rodgers does. None of them. I mean, we know Deshaun Watson doesn't play at all right now. So there's that aspect. And then, of course, you could argue the last 2 years, Aaron Rodgers has definitely played better than Patrick Mahomes. You know, Josh Allen, I'll say that's debatable. To me, they probably have been the two best quarterbacks in football the last 2 years. I know Mahomes in totality is right there with them and one of the greatest players in the sport. But, like, he has every right to ask for more money. He's so by far the best player on their team, the biggest name on the team, the biggest entity on the team. Out of $50 million might not even do it to really justify what he does for them. And again, you know, it's a team that I just don't look at as being as great as everybody thinks it is. It's number 12. Jennings has some sort of issue because, I don't know, it seems like Rodgers pushed him out the door way back when for younger receivers that he liked better. I don't really know what happened there, but there's obviously some personal issue there. But yeah, this Rodgers thing is going to be interesting, and I don't know, Mike, how you feel. But if you made me bet right now, I don't know. I'm going to bet Rodgers isn't in Green Bay when all said and done, when this decision gets made.
Well, I had believed that for weeks, that Rodgers ultimately is going to ask them to trade him. Then came the comment, well, let me back up. I'm jumping over the middle. After I was feeling that way, I then began to pivot toward the idea that they're mending fences. We heard that Rodgers was having good conversations with the folks in Green Bay, and there was just kind of this sense bubbling up that maybe he would stay put. And Chris, one thing that dawned on me last Monday, and let's talk about this for a second before we move forward. Peter King highlighted in last week's Football Morning in America a comment from Bob McGinn, who's been covering the Packers for years, about Aaron Rodgers' reluctance to risk throwing interceptions and how he's very sensitive to how it affects his passer rating.
Sure.
And he won't take chances. You know, you talk about the politics of the quarterback position.
Yeah, I believe that.
And McGinn believes that at times Rodgers doesn't take chances.
Agreed.
Because he doesn't want to assume the risk of an interception. Well, you take that mindset and you expand it to bigger decisions like who I'm going to play for. Maybe he doesn't want to take the risk that if he goes to another team, now, because for now, if he stays with the Packers and they're the 1 seed every year and never get to the Super Bowl again, and they've been the 1 seed the past 2 years in the NFC and haven't gotten back to the Super Bowl. He's been the regular season MVP 4 times, and they haven't gone to the Super Bowl in any of those 4 seasons. But who do we blame? We don't blame him. We blame the Packers. If he goes somewhere else, let's say he goes to Tennessee, and they're the 1 seed, and they don't get to the Super Bowl, all of a sudden, what's the narrative?
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't the Packers after all.
Right.
Maybe Aaron Rodgers chokes in the postseason.
Yeah.
That's the risk he takes if he goes to another team.
I agreed. That it is definitely a risk, and it's definitely something that I don't know, again, not that we know, or just it feels like, knowing Aaron Rodgers and what we've seen through the years in the media, what he says, that would affect his decision, definitely. That's where I go back to the Broncos thing, because at least there's the comfort level there. There's a coaching staff and people that he likes that can kind of massage the efforts of some of the uncomfortableness that would come with changing a team and not being the king of the castle and having the red carpet underneath you. And Denver, I think they could probably keep a lot of those elements and make Rodgers feel like he's still in Green Bay, except, hey, we got different uniforms and some different players out here that are more talented. So that is the big thing. There's no doubt. Now, like, hey, the things you talk about on Rodgers, anybody watch my podcast after they lost to the 49ers? It was my number one disappointment. It wasn't that Rodgers played bad. It's just Rodgers. There was a handful of plays and throws where you go, no, you're Aaron Rodgers, and you need to throw that ball in there right now. He's open 15 yards down the middle. You need to throw the laser in there and not throw the check down over here to Aaron Jones for a 4-yard gain. That is where Rodgers is not like Mahomes or Josh Allen. In those moments, they go for the jugular. They go, I'm throwing the flamethrower, and they're going to win this game right now. Rodgers goes, it's a little risky. Let me check it down. Maybe I'll get, a more higher percentage play to win the game a few plays later. Well, sometimes that doesn't happen. That's definitely Rodgers' biggest issue with this game. There's no doubt about that. But this Green Bay thing's real, certainly, and I think Green Bay is trying to put the public pressure on Rodgers, right, Mike? I mean, I think between the Tom Clements quarterback coaching hire and the fact that they've come out there and said they're willing to make him the highest paid quarterback, to me is all like stuff to go, hey, we're doing all we can to get Rodgers back. The ball's in his court.
If he leaves, it won't be the Packers' fault.
That's right.
The narrative that they're trying to set up.
Right.
If he chooses to go, it's his choice. And it enhances the risk that if he does go somewhere else and they have a great regular season and he doesn't punch through to the Super Bowl, it's on him. It's not on the Packers. This is kind of a weird way for the Packers to get absolution for a decade of not reaching their full potential, because we'd always assumed the Packers failed to put the team around Rodgers, not Rodgers is failing to cash in with victories in the games that have the season riding on them.
Can I say one more thing, too, about that drives me crazy? I know it drives you crazy, too. Like, when people talk about the salary cap and, like, Rodgers, and even if he did say he wanted to be the highest paid player, like, so what? Like, well, so what? What does that mean? So who cares? Like, we both know this. Peyton Manning wasn't going to be the quarterback of the Colts unless he was the highest paid quarterback in football. Brady, in those years, he used to literally say, I'm not going to accept $1 less than Peyton Manning going to get when he was signing those contracts. How did the Colts and Patriots ever put a team around Brady and Peyton Manning? Stop with all that bullcrap. It's just like people just cherry pick these little facts every now and then to like pin on certain guys, but don't pin them on other guys. And that's to me where that's just a bunch of bullcrap. I mean, how is Kansas City making it happen? With paying, they got Mahomes $45 million a year. How are they still getting Kelsey and Tyreek Hill and Frank Clark and Chris Jones? How are they doing that? Green Bay doesn't have those type of names that you can just rattle off like that. So stop with that. I'm sick of people saying that all the time.
And here's where Green Bay is different from the other teams. Green Bay doesn't have an owner that's going to siphon off unspent salary cap money to go pay the super yacht maintenance fund. You don't need the profits don't get poured into anyone's pocket.
Yeah, that's
they
true.
Get poured back into the corporation.
Yeah, right.
So they should be spending up to the cap every single year. There's no reason not to spend every available dollar. They should have cap issues every year. And they're in the process of clearing cap space so they can make it work this year, so they can apply the franchise tag to receiver Devontae Adams, something that's regarded as a virtual certainty, so that they can have money available for Aaron Rodgers if he stays. But remember, when you take, and let's just say $1,000, or let's say $1 million, let's make it a realistic number. You kick $1 million from the salary cap from this year to next year. The relative impact next year is smaller because the cap will be higher. And the more you can kick cap dollars into future years, the less of an impact that has on your ability to spend, because it means less as the cap goes up. The percentage of the cap that million counts for keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Right.
But the teams have managed collectively, and I don't know whether they set out to do this, Chris, they've created this idea that it's this urgency and their hands are tied. And yeah, it's baloney. But the fans line up behind the billionaires. The fans root for the laundry, and the players can go screw themselves. That's the attitude the fans have. It's one of the themes of playmakers. I'm trying to get people to break that narrative and understand that, if anything, your allegiance should go to the guys who are putting their asses on the line every week. They should get everything they can, because even if they're getting half the revenue, they have no ownership. So they need to make everything they can, because the owners are getting half the revenue and 100% of the equity. The players are getting half the revenue and 0% of the equity. We should always support the players getting whatever they can get when they can get it. And this salary cap stuff is just an excuse to not pay a guy what he's worth.
Yeah, I mean, agreed. You're right. There's always wiggle room. Now, I mean, we know there's some teams that got more wiggle room than others and all of that. Yes, definitely. But They certainly can make it work with Rodgers and still have a really good football team. Again, it doesn't matter. Like, again, Rodgers is on one of the most economical contracts in football. And we're still sitting here, though, even though Rodgers, yeah, we'd like to play him like him to play better. And, yeah, Rodgers was annoying this year at times, certainly, with the immunize and misleading people and all of that. I get that. But, still, the team they have in Green Bay, we still talk about it and go, okay, there's still no free agents that they ever really sign. And, one of the things they lack are big-time difference makers. Yeah, they don't have that. They don't have Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Floyd, and Von Miller to go along with, Odell Beckham, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee, the quarterback, Matthew Stafford, and a pretty good running back. I mean, again, it's not who they are. So, that's where I don't know where the fluff is about. He's economical now, and they're not necessarily, killing it with the team around him. So that dispels all the, if he takes more money, the team can't be better around him. That's a bunch of BS. Sorry, it took me a minute to spit that out.
$33.5 million.
Yeah.
$33.5 million is what Rodgers is making under his current deal. That's the same as Jared Goff.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.